We spend our entire lives trying to prove how smart we are, from getting the right grades in the classroom to dominating a discussion in the boardroom. The goal is always the same: be the smartest person in the room. We naturally assume that raw brain power translates directly into leverage, respect, and influence. Show people your genius, and they will gladly follow your lead. But there is a hidden danger to showing off your intellect. When you put your brilliance on full display, you are inadvertently holding up a mirror to everyone else's comparative shortcomings. This immediate threat to the ego causes targets to raise their defensive walls. They become suspicious of your motives, paranoid about your ambitions, and will quietly look for a way to retaliate. Projecting high intelligence turns your brainpower into a liability, triggering the insecurities of everyone in the room and inviting quiet retaliation. The 19th century philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer understood this human vanity perfectly. He observed that people view another person's intellectual superiority as an immediate hostile threat, but their own superiority, they view that like a comforting, warm fire. To bypass someone's defenses, you have to use this psychological quirk against them, and that requires completely suppressing your own ego. By intentionally playing the fool and making your target feel unequivocally smarter than you, their suspicion and paranoia simply evaporate. To see how this works at the highest levels of wealth, we have to look back at the Gilded Age of the 1870s. This was an era dominated by the wealthiest, most ruthless, and deeply paranoid financial titans in America. These men were highly skeptical experts who thought they were impenetrable to scams. People like the legendary jeweler Charles L. Tiffany. Into this cynical circle walked two prospectors claiming they had discovered a massive diamond mine in the American West. They seemed completely uneducated, rough around the edges, and entirely out of their depth. When they traveled to New York to meet with the financiers, they perfectly played up a simple country persona. They wore clothes that were too small, acted utterly confused by the big city, and appeared wonderfully naive. The entire operation was completely fake. The prospectors had simply bought cheap gems in Europe and salted a random patch of land out west. Their real genius was that flawlessly crafted stupidity. The financiers' own immense intellectual arrogance made it literally impossible for them to believe they could be outsmarted by country rubes. They willingly handed over hundreds of thousands of dollars, completely blinding themselves. There is an ancient Chinese hunting proverb, masquerading as a swine to kill the tiger. The mighty tiger thinks a harmless pig is wandering by, lets its guard down, and walks right into a trap. This predatory tactic was perfectly applied in 19th century diplomacy, when Prussian strategist Otto von Bismarck faced Austrian Count Blome over a game of cards. Knowing Blome judged character through cards, Bismarck intentionally played recklessly. He bumbled, said ridiculous things, completely hiding his cold, analytical nature. Count Blome watched this performance and felt immensely intellectually superior. He assumed Bismarck was an aggressive, heedless fool who was entirely incapable of complex, cold-blooded calculation. That false read had a fatal consequence. When it came time to sign a critical political treaty the next day, an overconfident Blome barely glanced at the document. He signed away Austria's interests without even reading the fine print. Masquerading as a swine is deeply devastating against highly competent targets. Their own overconfidence makes them eager to underestimate you. This strategy requires the restraint to suspend your own ego to manipulate how predators perceive you. Like the opossum playing dead, it is a survival mechanism disguised as weakness. But strategy is ultimately about controlling the mask. That means there are times when you must deploy the exact opposite persona. The legendary art dealer Joseph Duveen demonstrated how this reversal works. When a young, knowledgeable critic rightly identified one of Duveen's paintings as a fake, Duveen didn't play dumb. He projected an aura of overwhelming, infallible expertise, scoffing at the critic and telling him 20 other experts had already made that same amateur mistake. Intimidated, the critic apologized and backed down. These two seemingly opposite methods rely on the exact same principle. Playing the fool quietly lowers a target's defense shield, while playing the expert aggressively crushes their ability to question you. The advantage belongs to the person who can read a room and shift their persona to match the target's expectations. Whether you play the simpleton or the master, the goal is to let others believe exactly what they want to believe.